Hello, this is Ken Ferrie with this week's Boots in the Field Report. A lot of guys got across the finish line last week, and the after-harvest work is going full bore. Jared took out our last plot this weekend. It was a fungicide plot up in northeast Iowa in this year's tar spot alley. The response to one pass with a fungicide was right at or a little over 50 bushel. A noticeable difference in stalk quality. This plot continues to show us how rough this tar spot can be once it gets cranked up. Tar spot just reached northeast Iowa last fall. In most cases, too late to cause a lot of damage in the 2021 crop. With heavy rains this year, caused that last year's blown-in tar spot to be this year's homegrown tar spot problem. Northeast Iowa saw some of the same aerial application streaks that we were dealing with here last year. A big thanks to Mike and Alan Halber who helped us set up this plot as we continue to try to get our arms around this beast so we know how to manage it. Like I said, we believe that was our last plot to harvest. So if you're still waiting for us to harvest a plot, give us a call. Something got missed. Looking at two more of our ear flex plots last week. One in the Milford area had 27 hybrids. The part of the plot planted at 36,000 had a yield range from 243 to 278. The average was 264. The same hybrids planted at 24,000 had a yield range of 207 to 267 with an average of 248. Of the 27, one hybrid yielded the same at 24 as it did at 36, and one hybrid was higher at 24 than 36. The rest responded positive to the higher population. A second flex plot up in the Streeter area that was in twin rows had some interesting results. Now, this plot was rolled up for three weeks this summer before tasseling, but it finished with plenty of water the rest of the season. This plot had 16 hybrids in it. At 38,000 population or planted population, we had a yield range from 240 to 277, and the average was 257. At 24,000 planted population, we had a yield range of 247 to 278 with an average of 264. We had 9 entries that yielded more at 24,000 than at 38. One entry was equal, and the rest did better at 38. These numbers would make sense if we were talking about 180 to 200 bushel corn in a season-long drought. In those conditions, high population can overstress the hybrid, allowing lower populations to show better. This year, by no means, was a season-long drought. It was a short flash drought. This plot really brings the hybrid characteristics to the forefront and how they play out during the growing season. We'll flush these hybrids out in our hand harvest on November 30th. But what's showing up this year is that flash drought caught some of the L1 hybrids. Now, L1 hybrids are hybrids that flex down in ear size, cob and all, and if they are stressed during that rapid growth period from V7 to tasseling is when this shutdown would take place. Some areas corn was rolled up 3 or more weeks during that rapid growth. Most of this corn, though, was still growing during the evening hours. At that time, I believe we probably didn't have a lot of damage going on to yield, but with some of the L1 hybrids, it was actually dry enough for them to flex these ears down. In this plot, 38,000, even though it was in twins, was high enough population to trigger the ears to shorten up. But the same hybrids at 24 didn't receive that same amount of stress, and they kept their ear length. Once the rains began to fall, it was too late. The L1 hybrids had already aborted their ear length. Now, while these hybrids could make some of that loss back in depth, especially if they were an L1D hybrid, they could make up the total loss that they experienced from flexing those ears down. What continues to amaze me is seeing a yield of 278 bushel on a planted population of 24,000. Now granted, it was twin row corn, so that helps, but with any stand loss at all, we're looking at 12.5, 13 bushel per ear, something we just never heard of even 10 years ago. Now we can't plan for a flash drought, but we can mitigate some risk by diversifying our hybrid characteristics. When you know your hybrid's characteristics, some of these swings in yield make sense. Now, some growers will throw hybrids out of their lineup this year on 1 year of poor performance, not realizing the weather conditions caught that hybrid in its weak spot. This still may be the one or one of your best choices for your farm year in, year out, but this year wasn't its year. I expect we'll see similar results from some of our later planted D hybrids, those that get their yield the last 30 days, up north, where they dealt with a frost on that September 28th window and tar spot, again, especially in the later planted full season Ds. I know we like to plant this year's winners next year, but if we don't understand hybrids and their characteristics and what causes them to win or lose, we end up just swinging back and forth trying to find that silver bullet. Keep next year's lineup diverse and know your hybrid's weakness so you can farm around them. Finally, the temperatures have backed off. With max soil temps below 50, a lot of anhydrous is rolling. And now we can get started on the 2,4-D dicamba winter burn downs. With cooler temps, we'll get a lot more residual out of those products, reducing that volatility. Getting a couple of calls on what works best, doing the chiseling first and then pulling the gas, or the other way around. Now, most areas have now received enough moisture to get a good seal. I would pull the gas first, wait a couple days, and then start the chiseling. Pulling gas after the chisel can leave some pretty deep tank tracks, and they're hard to get out, especially in vertical till. I always recommend the smell test during application. When that toolbar goes by, have someone get down on their knees and smell that trench. No odor out of there, it's sealing. If the sniffer's gagging for oxygen, you're not sealing. Do this same sniff test when you start chisel plowing. Mark your calendars for upcoming crop tech events. Our annual Beyond the Basic video series will start November 29th, and there will be a series of 5 video sessions over a 2.5-week period. That'll be November 29th, December 1st, 6th, 8th, and the 13th. The Beyond the Basic is an agronomy series targeted at new customers and anyone who wants some review. This series will give you a good foundation of how we approach agronomics here at CropTech. Viewers can type in questions during the videos or email the office. We'll have a question-answer session at the end of the series. Now, this is free to all CropTech customers. Just email or call the office to get your access code. For non-CropTech customers who would like to take this in, go to our website, click on the Beyond the Basics tab. You can buy a ticket there, and the access code will be emailed to you. November 30th is our hand harvest date here at Hayworth, so if you can help, let us know here at the office. January 5th is our virtual winter college. Anyone who attended the summer college will get a link automatically. Those of you that couldn't make it to the summer event and want to take in the virtual event, go to our webpage and click on the Winter College tab. You can purchase a ticket there. The crew here at CropTech wants to thank all the veterans out there and their families for your service to our country. Because of your service, we're not farming in the conditions our fellow Ukrainian farmers are today. This week, several of the crop tech employees will be headed to the woods to help curb the Illinois deer population. I know a lot of you are doing the same thing. We wish everyone a safe and bountiful hunt. You hunters that are coming to the hand harvest, I expect some pictures to go along with your hunting stories. To stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.